Hello and welcome to my week 1 video on my Learn Spanish mission. So over the next few months I'm going to be showing you exactly what I do, break it down step by step, start to finish, what resources I use, how to get them from, how to use the methodology, extra tips and tricks and stuff like that that you can use to apply it to learn any language. A lot of what I'm doing now I used to learn Cantonese and have kind of like optimized it throughout my process, gone through it and refined it as I've gone along. This is week 1 and the first thing you need to do when you learn a language is pick a resource. First of all, beginner's resources. I'm going to go over 4 things you need to consider so you can make sure you get something that's right, effective, doesn't take up too much time, so you can use it as a spring pad, use it as a stepping stone to launch yourself into more interesting content and get yourself away from it as quickly as you can. So the first thing, and this is the most important, it needs to be full of dialogues. So for any beginner's course that's good and it's worth its salt, it needs to have a lot of dialogues, because then you can read and listen over and over and over again and really build up that core. And something to watch out for here is in a lot of beginners resources they start off very short dialogues and then you get to the end of the book and they're still too short, you know. This is like 1, 2, 3 lines, something like that. So you really need to make sure that the dialogues are a good length, you know, 30 seconds at least towards the end of the book, maybe 2 minutes, something like that, to help you push your listening skills and actually build up your comprehension, because if it's not long enough then you won't get the exposure you need. Number 2, they need to be aesthetically pleasing. So what do I mean by this? When you're looking around for books, it can be easy to focus on efficiency, easy to focus on what works and what it has, what doesn't have, stuff like that, and obviously this is very important, good reason, but you need to like the look of it, you need to like the feel of it and all these things, because it can be the best resource in the world, but if you don't use it, it's not worth anything, and the better it looks, the more likely you are to use it. So it needs to be aesthetically pleasing. Point number 3, it can't be too big, and I mean 2 things by this. The first one is its physical size. If it's an actual book, it needs to be portable, so you can take around with you and you can make the most of the commute time. If you have that, you can use it on the train, on the tram, on the bus, whatever. And the second thing I mean by this is it can't be too long in content, you know. If you pick up a beginner's book and it's say 100 chapters full to dialogues, you know, you're going to be spending months and months and months on this thing, and at the end of it you're still going to be at a beginner's level because you've not pushed further. So it needs to be short and compact. You can complete it, get the accomplishment and move on to the next thing. And point number 4, so it needs to be full of dialogues, but apart from this a lot of them come with vocab lists, stuff to understand it with, and one of those things is grammar. Why reading short and simple explanations, just literally a few seconds over and then going back to your listening and reading the dialogue, can help you boost your comprehension massively of what you're reading and listening to. If you're reading to the beginner's textbook and the explanations are too lengthy and too wordy, then just throw it out. It's a waste of time. The majority of time listening and reading. And if you get confusing grammar explanations that are too lengthy, they'll just confuse you and hold you up and prevent you from moving on to the next step. With that out of the way, that was part 1 of this video. Now I'm going to go over, specifically for Spanish, some of the best options I think that are out on the market today that you can use and that I've been considering for my journey. I'm going to go through the pros and cons of each of these. Here we are at my website, fulltimefluency.com, and here's a list of the Spanish resources that I've got listed for beginners. I'm going to go over quickly what I think and honestly review what are the pros and cons of each one. First of all, learn Spanish through story, also known as Spanish Uncovered. So the great thing about this is it's designed, and I mean you can see the illustrations on the side here, it's just it looks absolutely stunning. The audio quality is really high. The chapters are split into 20 chapters, each audio length is about 2 minutes long, and it's filled with lots and lots and lots of cognates, and it's based on story. So the good thing here is that it looks good, it sounds good, it's based on about as interesting a story as you're going to get from beginners, which is going to make you want to come back and use this over and over again. So it's good to get you listening and reading a lot and get you exposed, and this is, in my opinion, one of the best options probably on the market at the moment in terms of Spanish beginners. Now the downside to this is A, it's expensive, so if you're on a budget this probably isn't the one for you, and B, this comes made by Ollie himself with lots of video lessons to help you go through the different content. And this might sound like a good thing on the surface of it, which it definitely is, but if you go into the course they have vocabs, cognates, grammar, all these other videos. So if you're not careful, and this is a really big trap you've got to watch out for, you're going to spend more time watching these videos and doing the grammar exercises than you actually are going to be listening and reading to the story. So if you're going through this, I advise you focus mostly on listening and reading, watch the grammar video maybe halfway through, and then go back to listening and reading and really see grammar come out in the story. The focus needs to be on input. Next, and this is my personal favourite, which is langq.com. And the great thing about this is because you can import whatever you want, you can combine this with other resources. So the great thing about this is you import stuff or use the lessons in here already, and it's based, you can read through the text, new words are highlighted in blue, known words are white, and you can create and save words as learning or create a link which marks it as yellow. You can then review these yellow words as flashcards. So it's very good way and makes it very manageable to digest content with lots of new words very easily. There's a website and there's an app, so it provides that portability with you, so you can take it wherever you go on your phone. And if you want to use the in lessons, they have a series of mini stories which are decent length but not too difficult, lots and lots of repetition, and they have it in European and Latin Spanish. The downside here is that the stories themselves aren't particularly interesting, and also a lot of the content in Link itself that's already existing there for the beginner levels isn't that good. So to really make the most out of this, in my opinion, you need to combine it with something else, and you need to import stuff into Link. So next on the list here is Extra, and this is a short TV show made for, I think, college students. I think it was originally made for college students in America, and this is about 13 episodes long. It's a Spanish TV show with Spanish subtitles with very simple Spanish, but based around lots of body language, lots of context, so you can get lots of visual clues to see what's going on. And this is great because it builds on what Stephen Krashen calls comprehensible input. So if you can see what's going on and tell what's going on from the visual cues, you can hear and read the words in the Spanish subtitles down here, you're going to pick up a lot through context passively. This is free on YouTube, and if you're a Spanish beginner, I definitely recommend checking this out. In my opinion, it's not enough by itself. You need something that's, you know, got the text you can read through and got the audio by itself, and you need to have it needs more language. SpanishPod101.com. This is a great place for beginners because it comes with transcripts, line by line audio, and lots of dialogues. The downside here again is the podcast themselves are about a quarter of an hour long and they cover about 30 seconds of dialogue. Scrap the podcast, listen to the dialogues over and over again, use the PDFs as reference, check the notes if you need to, and make sure you spend the time with the input. The downside to this, they're good when you first start because the dialogues are short, but after a while, after maybe the first month, if that, first few weeks, you need something longer. So while this is good for the first starting out, in my opinion, you need longer dialogues to really push past that. This next option, Teach Yourself Complete Spanish. So this is by the brand of book that I used to learn Cantonese at the start, and this is probably, in terms of value for money and what you're going to get out of it, this is by far the best value. So it's split into 25 chapters, each has 2 dialogues, it's 50 dialogues. They start quite simple and they get longer and longer throughout, building on the past ones, so it's great for repetition. And they're cheap, they're full of dialogue, it's a small book, it's portable. Where it falls short on some of the more expensive courses, like say Spanish Uncovered, is the dialogues in this are disconnected, whereas in Uncovered it follows one story, so it really, once you keep on coming back and gets you involved in the characters and the story. At the bottom here we've got Spanish short stories for beginners. So this is listed in the beginner section here, but it's a bit more advanced than the other stuff that I've got on this list. So really, I'd pick one of the other options in this course, maybe Uncovered, Link, Spanish Pod, Teach Yourself, something like that. And then when you've got a bit of a ground, you can use these stories, read through these stories, get a bit of extensive exposure, and use it to increase your vocabulary before you jump into maybe the intermediate resources below. These are very cheap, available on Amazon, and come with full audio and text with vocab lists. If you get the ebook version, you can combine it with something like a Link to make acquiring new words very easy through the system they've got there, and it's definitely something I'd recommend. now that I've gone through a quick overview of the different resources we have available, then what am I using and what's my goals, what's my plan for this first month of my Spanish mission. So here you can see month 1, this is going to be November 2018, and see I've got here marked 30 days, and below here is exactly what I'm using. So I'm going to be using Spanish Uncovered, which was the one at the top made by Ollie Richards, because the illustrations are beautiful, the sound's good quality, the story's as interesting as you're going to get. So I'm going to be ignoring all of the videos apart from the grammar ones, watching through once on my lunch break, and spending most of my time listening and reading. So I'm going to be using this in conjunction with Link to really get the most out of it and increase my vocabulary as quickly as I can. So I'm going to give myself 22 days to go through the whole thing. That's a chapter a day with 2 days for review, and then after that my goal is to, I've also got Ollie's short stories for beginners. So if I go through 4 stories this month, that's 1 story every 2 days. I'll complete Uncovered, read the 4 stories across the month, and I'm also going to be supplementing it with immersion, and the first thing I'm going to watch is Extra because of the accessibility and the ease of it. So this is my first time learning a European language, so who knows, maybe I've overrated it, maybe this is too ambitious for the first month, but in my opinion, you need to push yourself and you need to get away from the beginner's content as easy as possible, which is why I've set a short deadline of 22 days, and after this month I'm away from beginner's content and hopefully into some more interesting content. Thanks for watching. If you want more tips and tricks, stay around for my next week's video where I'm going to be going into more detail on how I split up my time. If that sounds like something that's interesting to you, please subscribe, like this video, share it with your friends, and I'll see you in the next video.